Hey brewers and beer lovers, it's Jake from superbrewers.com. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2015, and I am in my backyard. Really excited. I got the 2 poles erected for my hop plants. I have cascade plants that are planted closer to the house. I have 3 rhizomes. They're all about 12 to 14 inches tall right now. I planted 4 centennial plants. Only one of them has popped up so far, and I'm excited to see how that goes. I did get a little bit of video of burying the erecting the poles for the hop plants, and so I'll post that on the page for this episode on superbrewers.com. And a couple of the things about the way I laid things out. The cascades and the centennials, there's probably a little more than 10 yards between the areas where I planted them. I figure since hops send out rhizomes horizontally and they do spread, I've had friends who planted varieties pretty close together, and a plant comes up in the middle between them and they don't know which variety it is without, pulling up the plant and tracing the root system back in the direction it came from. So I separated the 2 poles by a large enough distance. If anything does pop up between them, the yard gets mowed, so I'm just not going to worry about that. I'm going to assume that if they spread to the point where the cascades are coming up by the centennials and the centennials are coming up by the cascades, we'll just have to deal with it. But I think a lot of hop growers have about 12 feet between their rows of hops, wide enough to get a big tractor and a trailer down to do the harvesting, and this is more space than that, so it should do a good job of keeping the hop plants separate. The posts that I used, it's actually from a single maple tree that I harvested off of our land. We have 17 acres. A lot of the hardwoods were harvested about 5 years ago, but there's still places where there's clumps of trees really close together. This maple tree was probably almost 40 feet tall, but it was only about 6 inches around at the base. So I cut it down and I cut 2, I think one was about 15 feet, the other one's about 14 feet. I dug a hole about 3 feet deep, put the post in the hole, and then packed the dirt around it. Hopefully I got the hole deep enough that the poles will stay up. I might need to pack in more dirt once it all settles. Looks like we're gonna get some rain today, which will help the dirt settle down even more. And if I have to dig them up and reposition them later this year or next year, that's part of the learning experience, I guess. But I don't have any sort of stabilization wires on the poles. The next step's going to be twining them so that I can train the hop vines. This year I'm not expecting much yield off of them. Maybe, I have no idea what to expect. Maybe a pound total off of everything. So I might get 1 batch of beer out of this year's harvest. But next year should be pretty good. they're close enough to the house I can run a hose out to water them, which is going to be more important probably next month in July. It gets pretty hot in Wisconsin, so it should be fun. There will be video of that at the end of, if you're watching the video, it's going to be at the end of this after I'm done talking. If you're listening to the podcast, go to superbrewers.com and search for the post for June 3rd, 2015, and the video will be there for you. Some other stuff going on. Last week I got the experimental single hop IPA shipped out to Puka, and he received it yesterday. He got everything set up to get shipped back out hopefully tomorrow. So in the next week or so, we're going to be I'm going to be doing some videos of talking about the different hops. I believe there were 10 varieties. Some of the ones that stuck in my mind was Caliente, that's the one I did. Girillo, Dr. Rudy sounds really interesting. El Dorado, I've heard great things about. I haven't had any beers with El Dorado in it. Girillo, I might have said that. Anyway, it's going to be awesome. 10 different hops. I'm really excited to learn about how the flavors and aromas are going to be different. We used the same grain recipe, and rather than worrying about balancing the alpha acid units, we used the same quantities of hops for all of the hop additions. So it should be a pretty good gauge of the difference in their flavor strength and aroma and all of the things that they contribute. It should be a good comparison because of it should also indicate the strength of the hop in addition to just the way it tastes and smells. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be coming up in the near future. One of the other guys that's doing Homebrew Wednesday videos, Josh Secor, I'm going to try to set up a couple tastings with him. I don't think we're going to be able to sample all 10 in one sitting because the recipe came out to about 7% ABV, and even 10 half beers at 7% would, I think I'd end up pretty wrecked from that. And the other exciting thing is registration's now open for the Iron Brewer 2015 with Lucette Brewing. I'm helping John Christensen, the head brewer from Lucette, coordinate the competition. It's a lot of fun. I was in it 2 years ago. I helped organize it in 2014. It's a bracketed competition, so we're going to start with 16 brewing teams. You can have up to 4 people per team. And you can register at superbrewers.com/ironbrewer, and that is a great way to get signed up. We're still working on the prizes and recruiting sponsors and things like that. So if you're interested in brewing, some of the things you'll need to remember about the competition, it is held in Menominee, Wisconsin, and there's 4 rounds. So if you do well in the competition, your beer will need to be here on 4 different days. So you'll either have to ship it. I personally would recommend attending the judging sessions because they're a lot of fun. Some of the other changes that we're doing over last year is we have a launch party where everybody gets assigned their ingredients for the first round. If you're there, you will have the option of picking, like when an ingredient is drawn, if it sounds like something you really, really want to do, people who are in attendance will get preference over people who are not there. There will be a secondary bracket, so if you're beer doesn't progress to the second round in the main bracket, you'll get dropped into a secondary bracket, and there will be prizes for that group as well. But the premise of the competition is that it's kind of a cross between Iron Chef and a 16-team playoff bracket. So the first round, everybody gets paired off. So you're going head-to-head with another brewer or brewing team, and you're assigned an ingredient you wouldn't normally use in beer. Well, some people wouldn't normally use in beer. I mean, it's stuff like ginger, and last year we had a pizza beer that both examples were phenomenal, and lemongrass or mango or different cereals. We had a Fruity Pebbles beer, we had a Lucky Charms beer. So the first round is all about just brewing with something different. Then in the second round, we give you at least one brewing related process. Like last year, one of them was a minimum of 120-minute boil, another one was a double decoction, maybe even a triple decoction. And we try to figure out a way to do it so each task is challenging, and so that it's a lot of fun. Round 3, we usually take away something essential for making a good beer. The first year, what happened to me is I was assigned making a stout with no grains over 3 level bond in color, and I wound up with an amber. And luckily the person I was brewing against also wound up with an amber, because we avoided some of the Cinnamar and other grain related or grain derived specialty ingredients. So last year we took away time, so both of the matchups that made it into round 2 had to be over 1070 original gravity, but they only had, I think, 3 weeks to make it, which all of the beers turned out fantastic. And then the final round is a little back to a little bit more normal brewing practices. You know, last year they were assigned 2 ingredients, so they had to use rye and saison yeast. So both of those beers turned out phenomenal. The winner the last 2 years has been Ryan Verdon. He's actually the brewer at Real Deal Beer, which is a nano brewery inside of Raw Deal in Menominee, Wisconsin. And that's one of the cool things about the competition is there's brewers who brew professionally, and there's home brewers, and everybody gets thrown into the same pot. And we had home brewers beat professional brewers last year, and it's all about just making the best beer you can to showcase whatever your assignment was. So if you go to superbrewers.com/ironbrewer and get signed up if you're interested, it's so much fun. So I can't wait to get that going. And we don't have any firm dates yet because we can't start until we have 16 brewing teams. And hopefully we'll be able to get rolling on that sometime this summer, and then we'll hopefully wrap up before the end of the year. Generally, we try to keep about 6 weeks between when you're assigned your task and when the tasting happens, so that if you get brewing right away and it doesn't turn out the way you want, you could theoretically rebrew your idea and still have time to get it done. But that's what's going on in this neck of the woods. Hope you're having a great day. And remember, brewing beer is awesome. Every beer comes out unique. So when you're brewing, remember, let's brew up an adventure.